Hello and welcome to Breaking Late, a motorsports podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and with me is JD. How's it going, mate?
Good, mate, good.
Recover well after last night?
Yeah, stayed up nice and late. Actually, it wasn't too bad last night to watch the F1 and after following up the V8s.
But the racing this weekend at Ipswich, how good was that?
Very good, very good. Strategy game again played a little bit of its part, especially on the Sunday. I think Lowndes saving a green set of tyres, and they played a cool strategy, you know, putting one on the, I think it was the left rear, or left front, sorry, and a second stop, and yeah.
No, that was another great call by Ludo.
Yeah, they did. They thought outside the box again, and it worked.
We touched on this last week, and I did say on my Ipswich, not my favourite track. When you look at it, yeah, it's just, you know, it's a paper clip. But it had some good racing, and all the support categories, none of those guys could stay on their wheels.
Yeah, it was action packed. You know, with the Kumo series and also Aussie cars, the two rollovers in like two races when we were watching it. It was pretty crazy.
It was just like you go. Yeah, I just always forget of it every year. You just go, oh, what's this track do? Try and think back, and then when you watch it, you're like, nah, I love it. It's a good track.
Yeah, it's not as bad.
Good racing.
Yeah, I seem to every weekend, you know, when you watch it, you sort of come out the other side going, oh, the racing actually wasn't too bad. It's a boring looking track, but
yeah, but the racing was good. So we'll just touch into it. The big thing in practice with the V8s, in the final practice, Scotty Pye, he doesn't know how to have a small accident, does he?
No, he doesn't. He had another failure. If you listened, I think, was it in the interviews or his radio? He's like, oh, God, I must have such bad luck.
Yeah, it's like all mechanical. Most of it's mechanical failures.
Well, they reviewed it on the Saturday, I think. He's had 4 major crashes and 3 of them were mechanical failures.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so he had a brake line burst.
They had just changed the rear discs on
there was
that car before practice.
Questions still looming in my head there. Because they were pretty quick to say Fabian's car wouldn't have any problems with the same thing. So I wonder if they've nicked a line or something when they've been working back there. But anyway, they did an absolutely great job. 4 hours and they rebuilt the whole front end, new motor in.
Yeah, well, once they brought the car back into the garage and then they stripped it back down, the damage didn't look too bad. And they were saying a lot of it was, you know, cosmetic damage, as well as the radiator did get pushed back and touch the engine. So they took that out and replaced it just for precaution. But yeah, like once they stripped it all back, it didn't actually look that bad. It was just like, grab the new fenders and let's bolt everything back on.
The towers, when they had the motor out and it was all off and they started putting it back together, when they took the camera and had a look at it, the towers actually look quite good.
I don't know if it was when
single bit of damage.
Because it hit and went up on top of it, maybe the impact was a bit
obviously
lessened.
And they deliberately designed their car to be sacrificial at the front.
Yep.
And so and the main anchor points for all your suspension locations are really quite strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did a great job of obviously designing that car to,
take a hit.
Yeah, take up that impact at the front there, and it really didn't look like. I'm sure they'll be putting it on a jig and everything, checking it all out. I don't know if they have a spare chassis for that team, but I wouldn't be surprised if they roll one out just so that they can make sure that car's all okay.
Well, they've got a
big gap now.
They've got a big gap now, so I think it's about 30 days or something before the next race. But there's a good chunk, so they got plenty of time to I think all the teams are going back.
Back to headquarters
and just regroup.
Yep. So they'll be making sure that car's all good to go again, but yeah, surprisingly got it out very, very quickly.
The qualifying for race 16 on the Saturday, that was pretty eventful. Lowndes actually got a nice early lap in and was actually quite quick.
Yeah, Lowndes had looked quite good all weekend.
Lowndes always looks good at Queensland Raceway.
Yeah,
he's just so strong there. And I was sitting there and I actually did message you going, Lowndes might have this, because he was a good chunk ahead of everyone. There was still a few minutes left to go. And then I think Chaz Mostert got him. Jamie Whincup got ahead of Lowndesy. And then Chris Pither.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a lap. Good on him.
That was a good lap. And because he did a 1:10.03.
I couldn't believe my eyes when I seen him pop up to the top of the time charts. Actually.
He was quick all weekend. I did notice that. I was looking over before the race. I'm like, oh, let's just have a quick look at the practice results. And, Pith is always in there. He's like quite high up. Then come out in qualifying on the Saturday, just got that pole position. And it's just well done. Like, it was really good to see Tim Edwards come out straight away and congratulate him. And so did Chaz.
Yeah, they're very supporting that team.
Mm.
Even on the Sunday when Chaz got up on the podium, you look down, all the other drivers for PRA were at the podium presentations to congratulate him. It's a really good thing in that team. They seem to be a bit of a family, the drivers, and they really look after each other.
No, it was definitely good. Another thing that did take away from it was all the Kiwi drivers were very supportive of their Kiwi friends as well.
Yeah.
And all of them were, well done to, Chris getting his first pole. If I can't get it, I'm glad another Kiwi does.
Yeah, they seem to really rally behind their fellow countrymen.
But then that just led into an exciting race 16. Yeah, good start because you had the two Fords on the front line. I didn't actually get to see the start of the race or a good chunk of it. I was on the way out to your mother's birthday.
Yep. Well, the start of the race was actually quite interesting when they got off. They all got away from the line, not too badly, but they struggled to get that sort of second part of their start down.
There was a bit. I watched the highlights. There's a bit of pushing and shoving by the two Falcons.
Yeah.
I think Mostert got pushed wide out into the dirt.
Yep.
Yeah. Then I think Jamie just sort of came up and just looked Jamie of old and just.
Yeah, we've been talking about it, me and you, over the last couple of races. He's really started to look like the old school Jamie now, just putting big points behind big points and doing a great job. Like, if he's not winning races, he's there
second.
and thereabouts.
Yeah. Especially on the Saturday, where he's had this really good run of high point finishes on the Saturday.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you're not finishing
top 5s,
first,
10s.
I think his average is like 1.5 or 2. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. It's like he's always on the podium on the Saturday.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the 888 guys. Well, let's talk about
888 have really turned their
the game around.
Their pace around at that track.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, that track was dominated by PRA, and this year it's the opposite.
Mm-hmm. It is.
PRA was still very quick.
They were,
but the 888 cars were just dominant.
It is their test track. You would expect them
to
do well.
Yep. But I don't think it was a track that sort of suited their car as much. The way they developed their car, I don't think it suited them as much. But they've definitely found something in the car, and they've helped develop it towards that and made the car a better all-round car, I think.
It was very good to watch Shane drive through the pack right at the end.
Yeah.
We come through on the fresh tyres.
Yep. It was great to see.
Because I think Lowndes
exciting racing.
Lowndes had better pace than Whincup.
Yep. I think there was Ludo. Was it Ludo that was getting over pretty animated in the other garage? He did it again on the Sunday as well, but it'd be interesting. I wish I was a fly on the wall to hear what they're actually saying in there.
If you could understand him.
Yeah, if you can understand him. The other guys kind of looked a little confused, like, what are you doing in here? Get out.
No, it was definitely good to see the 888 guys. That's a podium lockout. It's a 1, 2, and 3. And then Roland got up on the podium and accepted the constructors or the team.
The team trophy.
Is it constructors or team trophy?
I'm not sure how they call it in
either way, it was that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one for the team.
I think it's the team because not all the teams build their own cars.
Yeah. True.
So constructors would be like Formula 1 where you've got Red Bull build their own cars. Every team builds their own car.
Yeah. Sorry, we didn't get, because of the events that we did have on the weekend, the Saturday race was very mixed. Oh, we didn't see too much of it. You were very preoccupied.
Yeah. I got to watch a bit of it. That's the first thing I made sure I did was when I got there, turned on the laptop, fired up Foxtel, and I started watching it.
I rocked up at the party about 4:30, walk around the back of the house, and there's JD standing on by the speaker watching the V8s, and I'm like, well, I found my spot, pulled my chair out, grabbed a beer, and just watched. But no, it was really good to see Shane come out, get another win. Unfortunately, this is something we haven't mentioned. Jamie was going for his 100th race win.
And he hasn't managed to grab it yet.
That was also Holden's 100th win.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't it?
Okay, I found out what that actually was.
Okay, what was it?
So it was Triple Eight's 100th win for Holden.
Okay. There you go.
If you want.
No, that's all right. I wasn't sure what it was. I just saw
That's
100 wins. Holden has won more than 100.
Yeah. Like 1, 2, 3. Lowndes has won 100. Drove mainly for Holden.
Yeah. It's won 105. Because I wasn't sure. I saw it and then going, oh, this is awkward. I thought they were Win Cup. 100 race wins, Win Cup. I'm like, oh, you pulled them out too early.
It was Triple Eight celebrating their 100 wins for the Holden manufacturer.
Well done. Those T-shirts for Win Cup can stay shoved in the back of the truck.
Yeah, put some mothballs around them.
Brought out another race meeting.
Oh, we're getting into enduros now.
Getting into Lowndes season.
Yeah, they might stay there for a little while. Hey, we can't call it just Lowndes season. Win Cup's won quite a few Bathursts for a young fella. Yeah, and he's also won without him.
Yeah, one. How many's Lowndes won without Win Cup?
Oh, a few.
3.
Yeah. It's sort of like what they were talking about with Lowndes when he was driving with Scafie. It's like, it's hard to beat Scafie's Bathurst
record. If every time you drive with him.
Yeah. Every time you get another one, he gets one too.
Especially that year, the last year when Scafie teamed up with Lowndes, and then Scafie had the bad back, or allegedly had the bad back, and then Lowndes had to do all the driving.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
It's like, how many more
laps do I have to do? You got to do 10 more laps. All right, and then I'm getting out.
Yeah. And Lowndes brought it home. No, we'll quickly round out the top 10 of the Saturday race. So Shane Van Gisbergen coming home first, followed by Jamie Whincup, and then Craig Lowndes rounding out the podium. Mark Winterbottom come home fourth. That's another good result for him. That's another 120 points to add to his tally.
Yeah, Frosty's actually doing quite a good job of backing.
His car wasn't there this weekend.
Yeah, but still he managed to finish top 10.
And that's what you need. That's how you win championships.
Yep, and he just seems to manage to do that quite frequently now as well. He's doing quite a good championship role here. He's not finishing 22nd or anything in any races.
Chaz Mostert, good solid weekend for Chaz. This is his strongest weekend since the accident.
He did look back. Yeah, he did, didn't he? He had that little charisma again.
He had good strategy. He was always on these fresh tyres at the end of the race when everyone else was just trying to get to the end.
The team seemed to be back as well.
Mm-hmm. Tim Slade followed up another good performance here.
Yeah, he managed to move up a few positions in the field as well and did a great job.
Will Davison, he did move up. He started 10th the race, finished 7th. He didn't have a great weekend. The Sunday he qualified well down the grid. It
does seem odd. I thought they would be getting more support from Lowndes and Ludo and obviously the Triple Eight team. But I understand that they are their own team.
Mm-hmm.
But they just were nowhere compared to the Triple Eight guys.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, I assume Techno do their own upgrades or have to purchase the other ones. So I don't know if their cars will be the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Or this, what's set up that maybe just didn't suit Davo's driving, or he wasn't sure
and
exactly.
And that might actually be something, because Davo definitely, he's a bit more like Whincup in his driving style, and Lowndes has his own driving style. It's probably good for Lowndes to have Ludo there that's it's really focusing on him rather than sort of when he was back with in the Triple Eight garage, and they're trying to mould the cars to work for both of them and whatnot, and they're moving in different directions. Now he's sort of they're just 100% focused on their own gear. They show each other data where they were better and whatnot. But Davo seems to be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure he had an interview with Rihanna after one of the races or qualifying. He just said it's just tyres, he couldn't get them to work.
Yeah.
He just struggled. And he's just like, we'll hope for the next day to be better.
I do wonder with Davo as well whether Triple Eight's not going to necessarily want to help him. They're going to want to get him up there because he's a customer team, but whether they're going to not necessarily want him to be competing with Lowndes because they share a boom.
Well, they share a boom, and they've got an agreement of whoever's first gets priority.
That's the big thing. Like when they announced that Lowndes was going to have his own team, yada yada yada, and everyone's going, "You'll never have to stack again." I'm going, "Hang on a second.
Yeah, he doesn't get his own boom.
No, he's sharing a boom with another team, which is going to make it even more awkward."
Rick Kelly, good result in 8th. Lately, it's not often that you'll be seeing a Nissan up there that isn't Caruso.
Yeah, Rick did a great job. Caruso had a bad day on Saturday.
Yeah.
It was a shocking day for him. I think he would have probably finished up there as well, if not higher.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, he just had a shocker.
James Moffat, look at that.
Yeah, right up there, mate.
9th. That's
good job.
That's a really good result.
And Coulthard, he moved backwards quite a long way, actually, 4 positions back from where he started in P6 and ended up in 10th.
And we'll just Chris Pither, after his front row start, who finished 11th. Still not, I mean, I know you'd never want to lose 10 places during a race, but did you really think he's going to stick it out at the front? No.
No, yeah.
Yeah, like, good on him. You know, full credit to him for the pole position. You can't take that away.
And 11th, that's still not a bad quasi.
He did finish in the top 10 on Sunday.
Yeah, but it's also it's good. He's come from development series last year, and
he's a rookie. Like, he's never driven a V8 supercar in anger around this track before.
Yeah, and that's quite for him to get the pole was a really big thing. So good on him. Keep pushing. Where are our friends? HRT.
HRT, our favourite race team, 13th and 14th.
Not bad from Garth Tender, up 5 positions in the race. Courtney backwards.
Yeah.
Tender did not look good in qualifying at all this weekend. He just couldn't seem to get the car to work.
It's always just so far down the grid. Couldn't get times in.
Yep. James, I know we cap on this every week, but he definitely looks like the more confident driver in that team now.
Mm-hmm.
James had dramas on the Saturday and still managed a 13th. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting. Once he gets a fast car again, I think he'll pop back up to the top of the field. Whether that's coming or not, I'm not sure. I know there's no seats anywhere else really for him to go to, and that's a real problem.
There's a seat at Erebus.
Wow. Well, they're building better HRT cars than HRT do, so why not? Actually, I shouldn't say that. David Reynolds did finish back down the field a bit, so.
Yeah, I just want to quickly touch on, they're my new favourite team, Erebus.
Just because they got your favourite driver, Craig Baird.
Yeah, Beardo. Love him. He's great. He's won the most Porsche Carrera races in the world.
Yeah, he's one of my favourite drivers. He's always been a good driver, and he's still driving GTs and stuff that now. And he's won a few races this year, so he's got his eye in.
He came out and said the guys in the main game earn their dollars.
Yeah.
After because I don't think he did the practice on the Friday. So the first time he was on the car was on the Saturday, and yeah, he's just like, let's be honest, like he qualified basically last. With Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt Kostecki beat him.
Yeah. It's the first time in the car. He's not out there to race. I think he came back with a pretty straight car, which was good.
Now, I've got a question.
Yep.
Nick Percat excluded.
Yeah, I've got notes on that. Do you want? I'll go into it.
Yeah.
All right.
What happened with Nick Percat there, mate?
Nick Percat got excluded from the race because his front bar weighed 1 kilo less than what it should.
Ooh. That's a biggie.
That, as of last year, the regulations, the front bar and light assembly, I think, had to weigh 12.5 kilos.
Yeah.
Only recently, I don't think it was at the start of the year. I think it's midway through the season or something, but they've increased it to 13.5. His bar didn't weigh 13.5. He just got excluded. So
that's a really big penalty.
Yeah.
For 1 kilo.
It's nothing, It's not like Nick's going out there and just with the grinder and just like, I'm just going to cut off this. Like, It's just unfortunate. I think it's probably an oversight from the team. And you're like, well, how long's this been going? I know they don't check every car. They'll probably weigh every car, but,
Yeah.
It's if you get pulled in and going, all right.
I do understand that the front splitter assembly has to be a minimum weight because some of the bigger teams like 888 and PRA and that, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they used to have a qualifying front bar versus a race front bar because that had to be a minimum weight. So in qualifying, the front bar had all its weight in basically the bottom part of the front bar to keep the overall center of gravity of the bar very low, so pretty much on the ground, versus their race one. If they use their qualifying front bar and tap someone, the front bar would literally disintegrate and fall straight off the car. So in the race trim, it's actually got a lot of bracing, and a lot of the weight's actually around where they would bump another car.
Yep.
So that the
Under
bumper
the front
wouldn't
splitter.
just so it's not in the actual splitter down the bottom. It's above where they're going to touch, to give them that more durability, so they can tap or push. And
basically where the number plate normally goes.
Yeah, exactly, and so maybe it's only hundredths of a second in qualifying, but the bigger teams will have the money to do that.
To
sort
have
of
that
thing.
extra bar. Quickly, I just want to say, I like the new Everest look. Hungry Jacks.
They look
so much better.
amazing. Yep.
They look like a
now.
race team now.
Yeah, one of the best looking teams. So, they're right up, well, probably not right up there with the Red Bulls. The Red Bull put a lot of money into their designs and stuff like that. But they are a pretty good looking car. That both the cars look similar. You can tell they're the same team.
Yeah, before you're like, oh, there's Reynolds and I don't. I mean, after reading up all about this split with Russell Ingall.
Yeah, Russell's had a big fight with them. Yep.
Yeah. Russell has fights with everyone. Aaron Russell, sorry, because it was basically two race teams racing under Erebus. There was Aaron Russell Racing and Erebus Motorsports.
Yeah, they were just supplying pit crew pretty much and servicing a car.
Yeah.
They weren't doing performance upgrades or anything to that car unless Aaron was going to purchase them, which he wasn't.
That's why, Craig's car is slower than Davey's car, because Davey's car has all the upgraded parts on it. I assume now that Erebus are taking control of the number 4 car. I assume we're going to race it as like an actual 2-car team now. They might start moving parts across, but then they've also got to start looking at next season going, all right, are we going to run the 2 cars? Because this year it was straight up like they weren't going to run. They were going to turn to a single car.
What happens next year, but do they lose the license? Because isn't it his license?
No, it was Erebus's license.
It was Erebus's license, but he was bringing his own car to race. So it's kind of like what Kostecki's doing at the moment with... Okay.
Yeah,
so I understand 100% now. Yep.
Erebus's license, and they were going to shelve it for... I think you can withdraw it for like 12 months or something, and you won't lose it, but after a certain time, V8 Supercars or Supercars Australia will go, all right, you haven't used your license in 2 years. We want it back.
They'll probably just take
it back. Yeah. So originally they weren't going to run the 2 cars. The Russells came up with a deal that they're like, all right, cool, we can run the 2 cars. It wasn't really going to cost Betty and Erebus any that much more.
Yep.
And yeah, but now
the deal looked sweet.
The deal was very sweet, and I said this before. Like I think it was a bad deal on the Russells.
Yeah,
the fact that they've now their race cars, Hungry Jacks and Craig's driving it.
Yeah,
they don't get that car back until the end of the year.
Yeah, the contract was written quite well for Erebus.
Yeah. But anyway, that car looked really good. Quick shout out to Supercar_tunes on Twitter and Instagram. That's where my little car comes from. I like them.
Yeah, they are pretty
I'm going to put them in the show notes. I want more of them.
Yep.
I want the whole field on the back window of my little car.
Yeah, no, keep up the good work.
Yeah,
great.
They're really cool. I'll put a link in the show notes and I'll tweet him. And yeah, they're really cool. Good effort. I like them. So we'll jump to the Sunday race, or qualifying on Sunday. This was one that Ludo just came out and had his magical thing again. Lowndes come out, set a really quick time.
I think that's the thing there as well. You can't take it completely out of Lowndes' hands there too. Lowndes come out and set a great time. And it didn't do the third set of tyres like everyone else was out there doing.
Well, that's what, after the race, when Lounsey goes in with the little Foxtel studio with Scafie, Ingall, and whoever that other lady is, he was saying, he's like, all right, Ludo, I will follow your call, but it's yours to make.
Yep.
And he's like, if it goes to shit, Ludo, you fucked up. Yep. But it didn't. So Ludo's champion still.
Yeah. No. If it goes to shit, Ludo, you screwed up. If it all goes well, damn, I did a great job on the tyres and put in some good laps today.
Bloody race car drivers.
Every racing car driver knows.
No, but so Ludo basically said to Lowndesy, like, nah, the track's it's only getting hotter. It won't get faster. Come in, and we're sitting it out. And then he got out of the car, and everyone else went out. I think they're all on, like, greens, too.
Yeah.
And no one went quicker. A few did change position, but no one went quicker to the point, like, Jamie's time that he set as for pole, he already set before when Lowndesy was on the track. So, yeah, like, Lowndes had that extra set of greens, which really paid dividends in the race. Chaz had good pace again, and he got into third, squeezing out Shane, delegated Shane to fourth. Then you had Frosty come through in fifth, and then you had Scotty Pye, who did
great
really
turnaround.
good, considering he didn't get much running on the Saturday.
Yeah, great turnaround from Saturday. Absolute stellar effort. I don't know if they had more tyres. So did they
Maybe
go out
they
more
didn't.
time? No, everyone went out 3 times apart from Lowndes, I think, in qualifying. So
Does he get his tyres from not using in qualifying on Saturday?
Yeah.
So he's got those extra sets.
Yeah, he has extra sets, so that would probably help him in the race. But not so much in qualifying because they all had greens for qualifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He did a great job.
Yeah,
Good on
that's
him.
good. He's out qualifying
Coulthard.
Who did he had a shocker. He didn't do very well.
15th.
Caruso, again, he's doing really well. He's starting to be, I think next year, if Nissan can keep on this form and keep improving this car, next year, watch out for Nissan.
Yeah, they're really a contender now, aren't they? They've taken over, really. I think they've moved ahead of Volvo.
Yep. Now, Volvo's fallen off. Ever since this Volvo news, they haven't, apart from Phillip Island, of course, where Scotty just dominated, they've struggled.
Yep.
Then Scotty has fallen off the chase.
Do you think there's something, nothing against Scotty, because he's one of my favourite drivers, but do you think Scotty's getting, got weighed down a little bit with all the negotiations and stuff, moving teams and guilt and, Volvo leaving, and he's leaving really his home, I
don't think that. I just don't think the cars have developed much throughout the season.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
I don't think with the Volvo backing gone, it's not like they're going to start, unless they go, all right, Volvo's given us this amount of money, we still got this, use it all until the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they've developed the car as much as everyone else.
So, and that's the flip side of the coin. Volvo's leaving, why would we develop this car more? Because maybe we're going to run Volvos next year, maybe we're not.
Yeah, they're still very
adamant.
iffy. No one knows what's going on.
Yeah, they're nearly adamant they're going to, but that's not to say that the year after they're not going to.
Yeah. Chris Pither, 10th. That's qualified, 9th, sorry. So he's qualified in the top 10 again.
Yeah, not a bad effort again. 3/10 off.
And James Courtney was knocking on the door of the top 10, but just couldn't quite get there. He was in 11th. And where's our other HRT driver? 23rd. Still struggling.
Yeah, Courtney had something else at this round compared to Tander.
Yep.
And Davey Reynolds out-qualified Tander by a long way as well.
Yeah. Moving to race 17. That's right. The start, there was a small spin, and Courtney actually got done for it. He pinned.
He did. He sort of drove into the back of him, I think.
So what I've got is Courtney hit Pye because he come in, hit the back of Pye, and started the rotation, and then Pither come in and just hit the back of Courtney and finished off Pye.
Well, I think
Pye was gone before Pither hit him.
I don't think. My interpretation was it was Courtney hit Pye, Pye was rotating, and then Pither, because obviously Courtney's kept on the brakes and slowed himself down, so he didn't just absolutely nail Pye, and Pither's just give him a tap. Yeah,
and bit of damage on the back. Courtney got the drive-through, which that just set his Sunday into motion of how miserable it was, because I think he finished in the end. He got a DNF.
Yeah, he did not have. Well, he ended up with a broken upright, didn't he?
Yeah, he just didn't have a very good weekend.
I reckon Courtney is a little bit like he'd fit right in British touring cars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gonna block me for like one lap. oh, that's it. You're in the fence.
British touring cars is good like that. And they're they're all like little hatchback, like front wheel drive hatchback racing.
Yeah. They're not scared to show someone. They don't necessarily have to tell them. They'll just show them.
Yeah. Here's the wall.
Yeah.
Talking about that, escorting someone off the road. Moffat and Coulthard.
Yeah. I thought they were friends. And then, wow. Especially down the straight.
Yeah, but that was because of
previous
they've
contact.
been going for about a lap and a half of pushing and shoving, and I think Scafey said, what Moff did on Coulthard was pretty fair because like Coulthard had moved over onto Moff several times before there, and then tried to run him out wide in the final turn, and then Moff's driving down the straight and it's like, oh look, Coulthard, let's look over here. Just drove all the way across.
Yeah, you can't fit there. Oh, your tire's on a white line. Yeah. Well, how's it feel, mate?
And then obviously turned across, and then I think, who was it? Was it one of the Nissans right up behind him? There was a couple other cars, because I did have a note going, because then in the end...
didn't it cost him like 3 positions?
Yeah, because I'm going, this is Moff's problem I always find, like, and it is a bit like this just in the category in general, is when you lose one position, you never just lose one. Moff always seems to lose like 3 or 4 positions in one incident.
Yeah, it's very similar to go-karts because the category is so tight at the moment. So in go-karts, because like half a second can, in lap times, can divide the whole field.
Yep.
So everyone's up each other's clacker in the race. And then as soon as you get offline, that's it.
You're out on the marbles and then,
So you'll get offline. And then so whoever goes to go past you, everyone will just push their front of their cart right up the arse of the next cart, and you can't turn back onto the racing line, so you get stuck
You're
offline.
I'll hold out wide. You're like, that never works.
Yeah, and you just get freight trains, so 3 or 4 carts might go past you before you can get back on the racing line and defend your position. And that was absolutely what happened to Moffat. He just got escorted wide, and then 1, 2, 3, here we go.
But it was good racing. The incidents before, like I didn't mind that push and shove. I think it's really good for it. We've got cars that can take a bit of a hit.
Yeah, and that it wasn't too bad either. There was no one got punted.
Yeah,
there was a bit of defensive driving going on in there with the maybe V8s needs that sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's like it's good for the show.
Just jumping forward a little bit here, actually. Frosty just letting Chaz through.
I think Frosty knew Chaz had him.
Frosty's fighting for the championship.
Yeah, I mean, what did he? I know he finished 5th.
Chaz took no points off anyone that Frosty's fighting with. You know what I mean? Like it's
9 points that they were arguing over. Like if Chaz didn't let him through, Caruso would have finished 3rd and got 129 points. Frosty would have got 120, and Chaz would have got 111. So it's 9 points.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Because then he would look like the biggest dick because he's got to hold him up.
Yeah, I understand. I understand why he did it. And myself, I probably would have done the same thing. But I'm not, the champion of V8 supercars at the moment.
You're a race driver. Seen you. I try and pass you online. You don't let no one through.
But, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But he's defending Ford's championship. It would have been completely defendable if he hadn't let him through. Yeah.
I mean... The pace that Mostert had was ridiculous.
It was. And I know, and from a team perspective, he did absolutely the right thing. He just stepped out of the way, completely stepped out of the way. He didn't even say, Chaz,
Caruso
you can pass me.
basically drove around him too.
Yeah.
Like Caruso's like, I need to get out of the way. Mostert's coming.
Yeah. So, no, it was just something interesting. Anyway.
Did you see the in-car footage of Shane? In-cab footage of him changing gears and then changing the brake bias and then the anti-roll bar.
I did miss that. I heard it on the speakers, but
makes
I
like
missed
4 changes and changes gear, all in like next to nothing.
Scafey loved it.
Shane just does so many things at once. Like he's probably the more active one doing all these adjustments.
Yeah, I agree. Shane's very creative in his cockpit as well. You see him in the wet, and
if the car's not working, he will adjust everything that he can before.
Oh, and also, but you see him in the wet and stuff like that, and changing down gears with his arm.
Yeah,
Instead of his taking a hand off the steering wheel, he'll just change it with his wrist or his arm because he's got the gear stick where he wants it and everything. He can
Why
reach
not?
it. No other drivers are doing it, but yeah, Shane seems to just find what works for him. He's a very individual driver, actually. He's got his own styles and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy.
But no, it was really good. Other big note. This back to Shane again. Oh, and Lounsey as well. Coming into the pits on their first cycle. Like, I know use your tyres up and all, but Shane had a huge lockup coming into the pits.
He did. It was a massive lockup.
I mean,
a few of them did. I think Lowndes had a big lockup.
Yeah,
coming
Lowndes had one just before.
Yeah.
I mean, no penalties. They all got under 40 before that line. But yeah, I was just like, wow, it's
They're really pushing pit entry.
No
one was going to lose 100th of a second there.
And then during the second phase of the race, I don't know what happened to the Red Bulls, but they just looked bad. Like, they just lost pace.
I think they must have discussed what they were going to do with the cars together because they both adjusted
their
cars.
Fell off and at the same time.
And then they both went backwards. They needed to go knock on Ludo's door or ask Ludo when he come over to yell at them.
Yeah, every 5 minutes.
Don't you get tricky with strategy? I know that's what you're going to do. Don't you get tricky with strategy over here. You tell me what you're going to do. Don't screw this up for Craig.
Runs. He's always running across it. And runs back to his room.
He's kind of got like a little angry little march that he has. Like,
yeah, he's like trotting away. Like, need to go get my baguette.
I would really like to know what happens in those conversations because you just see the looks on their faces like, all right, we've just been told.
Yeah. Ludo yelled at me. What did he say? I don't know.
I'm not quite sure what's going on now.
And then we've had this incident. This is Shane. Like, I've got a bit to talk about him on the Sunday race, even though he drove really well on the Saturday race and we didn't mention it that much. On the Sunday, and this is something I'm going to ask you, JD. You're driving, final corner. You see a car go off and spear off at pace, and it looks like it's about to plow into the wall in this like gravel trap. Do you pit thinking safety car?
Well, it's.
I mean, we know what Shane would do.
It's quite a weighted question. I think yes, but it's so dependent on everything, isn't it? And sitting here in my chair, it's very easy for me to say, "Look, Shane, you did the wrong thing." If the safety car had been called, and the rest of the track, everyone got held up or whatever, he would have looked like a dead set legend, and he wouldn't have lost much time being double stacked. But in saying that, it happened on the second last corner?
No.
Third last? Last corner.
Yeah, he come off because then Shane pretty much just followed around on the outside, went into
I don't know. It's such a short track. I just don't see...
Still a minute 10. It's not super short.
That's pretty short. So race pace is minute 15 or something like that.
Yeah, minute 15. Like, that's what they're doing at Hidden Valley.
Yeah. It's still quite a short lap. Like, he was at pit entry pretty much. There was no way the safety car was going to get out in front of him.
Yeah, but he would have been banking on the fact that he could have got his pits. They called safety car. He would be out. Everyone else would pit, and then he'd be picked up with the leaders.
Yeah, but my view is he was with the leaders. He was in third, wasn't he, at the time? Fourth.
Nah, he was struggled. He was further back, so
yeah,
he was quite far back in the grid.
Yes, okay, that makes more sense.
See, but I was more thinking because I seen him come into the pits, and I knew Whincup was in there because I was actually watching it with the live timing. Which, if you've never watched a race with live timing, do it.
Yeah, he had his 3 screens set up and watching live timing, the race and everything going on.
One black screen because nothing was on it. One screen with the race on it, and the other screen with the live timing. And unfortunately, my stream is about half a lap slower than the live timing. Which I don't think even if you got it on the telecast, I don't think it's going to be as quick as the live timing because the live timing is still what everyone uses. But yeah, so I was thinking, well, he's come in. One, he would have been on the team going, I'm in the pits. And they'll be like, shit, we've got Whincup in here. And this, you might know, I don't know. Do you have to do 40 in the pits or can you go slower?
You can go slower. There's been a few controversial times in V8s where people have been holding up. So say Shane someone come in behind him.
And then he trots at like 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no one was behind him. So
No.
I don't know.
But it doesn't really matter
Would
anyway.
be. Yeah, I guess you're not gonna. It's
You're
still
not
the
gonna
same amount
gain-
of time as if you're sitting there or if you're doing 30 down the straight.
It doesn't make Whincup get out of the pit spot any faster.
Looks a lot nicer though when the car moves in. The other one moves in straight away without having to stop.
It's still, I think he, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have pitted. The safety car wasn't going to grab him. He still would have come around at race pace pretty much.
Yeah.
Got in the pits and got out.
Because I did think at the start, I thought, oh, Pi might not get out of this. Like, he did get it into reverse, and he started to move, and then it sort of bogged up, went brrrt,
Yeah.
and then tried to get forward, and then it sort of bogged in again, and I was like, oh, you've dug yourself into it.
He did show a bit of skill there, didn't he? I thought
He got
little less throttle control, and that man was going nowhere.
And then at the end of the race, once again, you had Mostert just charging through the back end, and he was just quick.
He was.
Um,
Fresh green tyres, blowing the doors off everyone else.
Yeah, and the battle that Caruso and Mostert had was actually really good.
Yep.
It was a nice, good racing. Because did you see him go around? I think it was turn 4 where they've gone side by side, and everyone just like.
I honestly thought they were just going to collide.
Yeah, no, good racing by both of them. Like when
Plenty of
races
room.
give each other room, like not heaps, but enough, it's so much better.
Yeah, there was definitely plenty of room given. A few of the other drivers in the field, I think, would have escorted the other one wide and onto the marbles and said, "Come on, try and stay beside me now." But it was great racing. It was really entertaining.
And then Lowndes had the race win, which was fantastic, and then he's gone.
He did a lot of that off the line as well.
He did. He won that off the start.
Yeah, he did do a great job off the start line.
And then he waited to hear if he's allowed to do a burnout.
Yeah.
Do we need these rear tyres, Ludo? Ludo, can I do a burnout? Can I do a I'm doing a burnout. You can do a burnout.
We don't need the tyres.
Well, Lowndes didn't even hear that.
No.
He's like, I didn't know, I just went.
Yeah, he didn't say no.
Yeah, well, the fact that he didn't respond, he thought I was doing a burnout.
Yeah.
It's a good skid, though.
It was.
Got into 4th.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have to pick his game up. Shane got 5th last round.
Ah.
So he's really, that's another gear up. So Shane also did blow both tyres, I think.
Yeah.
Last round. Did you see? Oh, you probably missed it. They had all the radio from Scotty McLaughlin.
Oh, yeah.
Shane.
That guy's so good at a skid, it's ridiculous or saying.
He's driving back on the rims.
I'll find the video for it. It's on supercars.com.au. I'll link it in the show notes. It's a good skid by both Shane and the skid that
Craig
Lowndes did.
Yeah, laid down. The rest of the field needs to pick their game up, I think.
Yeah, I think I want to see Whincup do a good skid again.
Yeah, Tim Slade, mate, no more dirt work.
If he wins in Sydney, I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, we'll just
If you
ask
win
him to
at
open
Sydney,
the gate to the car park.
Just go on the main straight. It's about 8 lanes wide anyway. So I think we're done with the V8s. We won't look to Sydney yet because that's still forever away. But we will recap on that on one of our many episodes before. Actually, we've only got one more episode before Sydney.
Yeah.
You need the microphone. Yep. Go on.
Yeah. Formula 1.
Formula 1 at the Hungarian.
Yeah. Great weekend. Very exciting.
Saturday was great weather for ducks.
It was.
It's very wet.
Yep. Very, very, very wet.
Got your money's worth with Q1 though.
Yeah, they stretched that out.
That was almost as long as the race.
I was about to say, it's nearly as long as the bloody race.
That went forever. What are your points to take away from Q1?
You just had to have your timing right, I think.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. There was 5 cars, I think, that didn't make the 107%, Red Bulls included.
Yeah.
But they were allowed to race.
I think it was quite funny that they brought that rule up.
There was no way they weren't going to let them race.
It was never in the intentions of the rule that rule is there for. And then there come this big news article. Everyone's, they could get... Yeah, right.
By the end of Q1, it was looking like there's not going to be many cars left. I don't think you needed to be in the drop zone to...
No, there's a few DNFs.
So
I guess you don't call them that in qualifying, but there's a few people spinning off and hitting the wall.
Yes.
And, not the best effort. But
No, well, you had Harry Ento come off
very, very tricky conditions. And
So
as
wet.
soon as Harriento went off, I went, when's Wayland going off?
Not
No-
long after,
Yeah, they don't have the best of downforce, and when the track's very wet,
you want downforce.
you need to be stuck to the ground somehow.
Ericsson had an off as well.
Yep.
Magnussen had an off.
Massa had an
Massa
off.
had an off.
Funny that. They're the bottom 5.
Palmer had an off. It was just, everyone was just. I've got a few videos of the Q1 offs. I'll link them in the show notes. They're just always good fun to watch sometimes. But yeah, so that was basically Q1 done and dusted, apart from the fact that it went for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was quite long. We were sitting there watching it on our mobile phone, and it was very long.
Chewing my data.
Yeah, very long time sitting there just to watch Q1. I'm like, all right, is it done yet? It's another red flag.
It was really.
Michael's just showing me one of the
Just
best
brought up
F1 photos I think I've ever seen. That's
just
amazing.
shows you how wet it is. I will put this in the show notes. Hell, this might even go on our Facebook page.
I think it's definitely worthy. That's an amazing photo.
That's what the photo is, because I know podcasts aren't very good at showing images.
What? No one can see this?
You can't see it? No. It's the picture. It's Daniel Ricciardo's Red Bull in like torrential downpour with the big red light going, basically saying the red flag in the session. But it's really cool. You can see the water coming off everywhere. It's probably my favorite photo from the weekend.
Yeah, it is amazing. That's a.
But that
beauty.
just sums up qualifying. That's how wet it is. So we'll put that in there. But yeah, so like we were saying,
was it Q2 where no, it was Q1 I think actually where Vettel went off after it had been red flagged. He managed to go off after it had been red flagged. That's how wet it was. It must have been Q1.
Yeah.
'Cause it was when it was really pouring down, and yeah, he ended up off the track because there was a puddle he went through, and the car just aquaplaned straight off the track.
there's puddles everywhere. Like in Q2, there was that puddle on the final, like coming onto the final straight,
Yeah,
that just stayed there, like even through Q3, I think, as well.
yeah, there must be a little wallow next to the curb there, and all the 50 mil. We've learned a lot about curves in the last couple of races.
We have.
And the little 50 mil divots in between the razor tooth curves and sawtooth curves.
So it drains the water all that way.
Yeah, it drains and sits in there.
It kept pulling up. The drivers come through, and they were shooting heaps of water out onto the line.
There's a couple
Some
of
of them
scary
were getting a
incidents.
few, like
Yeah.
Vettel darted off to the straight. Like,
Yeah.
he come through, and it just pivoted.
Yep.
And he's
And
like,
Ricardo's one.
Ricardo's kept sliding. I wrote down somewhere. I can't find
Ricardo, big save.
it. Big, yeah. He just, yeah. It was in Q3 though.
Yep.
My one. I was got Ricardo, massive final turn shank, still fast.
Yep. He did a great effort. I think he kept the boot in and managed to steer it out of it and did a great job.
Hamilton, he only just got in there. Like, he was 10th in Q2. Like, he was lucky to get in because Kimi didn't make it.
And even in his last lap, he went off the end of the straight. He ended up onto the green bit of concrete next to the curb in turn 1.
Yeah, because
and his fast
Ricardo went off deeper
Yeah.
in there as well.
Yeah. A lap before that
before.
one. Yeah. Well, yeah, Ricardo nearly got knocked out in Q2 as well.
But yeah, so then when we come to Q3, apart from the big puddle on the main straight, come to basically a one-lap shootout. Because obviously they went out and just dried the track. And then they come out. They had their shootout, and Hamilton set the fastest time initially? It was Hamilton, Ricardo, Rosberg.
Yeah.
And then Alonso span.
Yeah, very controversial.
That caused Ricardo and Hamilton to lift.
Yep.
Slowing them down so they couldn't set their fastest time.
Which they needed to because he was just off the racing line when they come through. He was still parked in the way, essentially.
Now, was it still yellow flags by the time Rosberg come through? Or
Yes,
did
it was still double yellow flags.
He lifted?
Yep. Looking at the data, the stewards come up. This is the reason he wasn't penalised was because when they looked at the data, he had at least 1/10 of a second that he lifted for.
It's not much, is it?
I think Hamilton said Rosberg's apex speed was still faster than Hamilton's fastest lap.
But either way, he come home first. Hamilton second. 2 Red Bulls locked out the second row.
Yep.
Which was good.
Ricardo looked a bit more back to his old, I think.
Ricardo looked more dominant again.
He looked comfortable.
This is
in
a
the
track he
whole
likes.
track.
I think for the past 3 years he's been on the podium every year.
He has, and it's watching the pre-race with him. It's a track that he's been on the podium with every category he's ever raced there.
Oh, then you have to love it.
Yeah, so
I mean, it is a track that definitely suits the Red Bulls because if you get out in front, you just can't pass. It's really hard. Well, you can't pass. Tell that to Verstappen and Kimi. Those two were passing all day.
yeah, they did. Both of them did a great job. Verstappen had to play second fiddle for a change, and I don't think he likes it. And
we'll get to that in the race. So we'll just quickly round out the top 10 for your qualifying. Rosberg, Hamilton, Ricciardo. That's your top 3. Followed by Verstappen, Vettel, Sainz. That's a pretty good result for Sainz. He's up there again.
Yeah, really solid effort, mate.
The 2 McLarens, 7th and 8th. That's well done. That's 2 and Q3. I mean, the weather helped, but even then, they're still fairly
It was a drying
strong.
track, and fair enough. A couple of people that probably shouldn't have got knocked out in Q2 didn't make it into Q3, did. But other than that, you can't take it away from what a great track. I think to me, but over that whole wet qualifying session, it really reinforced that Ron Dennis's belief that they got the second best downforce in the field. Yada yada yada. It's complete and utter bullshit. I don't know what he's fertilizing his plants with at home, but he could definitely use that.
Then you had Hulkenberg in the Force India coming in 9th, and then Bottas rounding out the top 10 in the only Williams.
The start of the race, Michael.
Start of the race.
Wow.
Now,
I actually was standing up. I was getting a bottle for Noah.
Yep.
And I had my hands in the air shaking like, yes, go Ricardo, go around the... Oh.
I know.
For like half a second.
I was doing the same thing too because I didn't do any big stupid bets for this game. I did a couple of $2 ones, and I put $2 on Ricardo leading the first lap, paying like 11 to 1 or something, and I was like, this $2 could turn into $22, and then he got up the inside. I'm like, oh yeah, and then he didn't.
Yeah.
And that's why I only put $2 on it.
It was pretty amazing, but
It was a good start. He was quick off the line. He got Rosberg.
it did. In that second start phase, Vettel was really quick as well. Ricardo did well to hold Vettel off. I think the only reason Vettel didn't get past Ricardo and Rosberg was, I think he played the mature game there and went, okay, when we barrel in there 5 wide, I'm on the outside. This is not going to work.
Verstappen was trying to get up the inside as well.
Yeah, it was mayhem at the start. It was very exciting.
Crazy. And then you had Button. Poor Button. I think it was like first or second lap. It was very early on.
Lap 3 or 4.
And he had his hydraulic issue where his pedal went straight to the floor, and I think he speared off the track, didn't he?
I can't remember. It
was a big...
No, he nearly went off, and then a bunch of cars started going past him, and that's when we noticed
he started to lose all the speed, and then he's on the radio
He
going...
hopped out of the throttle, and he was just coasting, yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, the pedal goes straight to the floor, and then more controversial incidents.
We're back on the radio talk again. F1, fix this, please.
Far out. It's so stupid. I don't see what they did anything wrong. They basically told Button, all right, my favorite radio call ever. Button, you need to stay out. And he's like, oh, good. This is going to be the race from hell.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope Button doesn't leave.
Yeah, I'm going to miss Button if he retires.
I mean, I know he's trying to do his best, but that comment just summed up the race. It's like, oh, well, I'm getting paid to get this around the line.
Yeah.
But in the end, they fixed the hydraulic issue. But then he come and pitted like a couple of laps later after they told him how to fix it, and then still got the fucking drive-through.
Yeah, I think F1 management committee, like the people making, or FIA, need to come out and explain this a bit more to the spectators. This is getting confusing.
Well, even also explain it to the teams, because
in my eyes, it looked like they did the right thing. It looked like the new rule that they said if you give if you give information to a driver, you have to serve a mandatory pit stop or come into the pit lane mandatory. Like that has to be done. You're allowed to do a pit stop.
Yep.
That's all fine. And they did that. Then
Also, apparently, the teams can give you orders in the pit lane that doesn't involve you having to.
yeah, exactly. If you come in for a pit stop, they can
and
give
then
you
they're
an
like,
order
oh,
in the
you
pit
can
lane.
reset into here, and you don't have to repit.
Yeah.
Because before the restriction was anywhere on the
anywhere
racetrack,
track.
but now it's only on the track, not in pit lane.
Yeah, and I think that's a great move. I think it's a great move forward.
Mm.
But it's still obviously confusing because they gave him a drive-through penalty after they had served a pit stop.
It was only a few laps later. It was just, I just don't understand. Seriously, just scrap the rule. It's stupid.
And then Button comes out with the great comment. So obviously,
no brakes is not safety issue.
Yeah, because they're allowed with the safety clause in that. You know, if there is a safety issue, you're allowed to give the driver instruction to stop them being at risk.
Yeah, well, I know if you don't have any hydraulics and your brakes run on hydraulics, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, quite interesting. I'd like to see what the debrief from that was to find out why the penalty was given. And just explain to the public a bit more.
It was something about misuse of radio or something, I think.
Yeah, they didn't really give a reason. They just said they would
that's whatever they
breach
clause
the radio.
is. Yeah,
breach the radio.
Apart from that, because I mean, we can talk about the radio ban all day, but there's only so many episodes we can use on that.
Yeah,
Ricciardo avoided the undercut from Vettel, which was good because he needed to. Because Vettel was quick, and then Hamilton was just struggling, and Ricciardo was catching them. Like he was catching the two Mercedes. And to the point was, what was the comment that Mercedes said to Hamilton? That you need to go faster.
Yeah, if you're starting to impede.
Yeah, it was like something like, speed up or we give the first pit to Rosberg.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I can drive again. I'm going quick.
Yeah, I thought it was quite funny. Oh, you need to speed up. I'm going as fast. I'm struggling on these tires. And then they're like, well, if you don't speed up, we're going to give the choice to Rosberg if he wants to pit first. And it's like, second a lap faster.
Yeah.
Like, hang on a second, wait.
Well, they kept talking on the commentary about him trying to back up Rosberg into the Red Bull.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, we know that. And this race was...
He's done it before.
Yeah. And, I mean, Hamilton controlled this race down to a T. Like, he really did. He controlled the spike. They said at the end of the race it was one of the longer races at the Hungaroring because of that fact.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't pushing his car, which we know why. He's only got a couple of. We reckons he's going to take what two penalties.
Is he on his last engine already? I
think so.
He is.
Yeah, he knows he's going to take at least one.
Minimum of one.
Minimum of one, probably two.
Rear grid.
Which is, you made an interesting point earlier. You think that this could that taking that penalty and starting from the rear of the grid will really hurt his championship fight.
Yeah, well, I've put money against the tide at the moment on Rosberg to win the championship because my views essentially are that with Hamilton starting rear of grid, he's a great driver and he's in the best car in the field. He will move forward from starting rear of grid. But the Red Bulls are no slouch anymore, and Ferrari is not necessarily the easiest car to get past either because they've got quite good straight line speed now as well. I don't envy him coming through the field and trying to get...
Could you imagine having to pass the two Ferraris and the two Red Bulls and then your teammate?
Yeah, and you'd assume at that race, Rosberg's probably going to win. So Rosberg's going to, bag his maximum amount of points. And I'd say there's a minimum of one race that's going to happen and possibly two. So unless Lewis starts winning every race.
Then Hamilton sort of got held up by the Haas and really let Esteban Gutierrez know what he thought. Not the classiest thing he's done.
No, and Esteban's not overly happy about the situation either. It's a bit rude and thinks he should go back to back to boarding school and learn his manners again.
Yeah, well, I've got a video of it, and I'll link it in the show notes. So it's an incident where Esteban was pretty much, he had his Haas dead smack in the way and held him up around, I think it was the final turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he lost a lot, and Rosberg caught up.
I think he lost half a second in one hit.
Yeah, and Rosberg caught up to him like straight away. And then as Hamilton drove around Esteban, he sort of flipped him off.
He did.
Just gave him the bird and
Picked it up at Kmart. It's real nice.
But yeah, so that and then Esteban's come out and just said, just because you're the world champion doesn't give you the right to disrespect your fellow competitors. And I mean, yeah, it's probably not the best thing to do, but we'll forget about it by next race.
Yeah.
No different than when Sebastian Vettel flipped off someone in China last year. No, was it last year or the year before? I think it was in a Red Bull. Kimi and Max, this whole race, I've found a few videos, and I will link them again in the show notes so everyone can watch them. They had a good battle, like throughout the whole race. From the start right up to the finish, those two were always with each other.
Yeah, they did. Absolute challenge. I thought Kimi was going to have the pace there to get past him, but no.
Max
proved
that he can really...
Yeah, Max proved his A-grade defensive skills again. He's black belt in
Defense,
yeah.
Well, there was that incident where, there was a bit where Rosberg. Raikkonen clipped the back of Max, and then carbon fiber, and then all I thought was...
Puncher.
Yeah, Max is fucked. I was just like, oh no. I'm just waiting for him. Like, I didn't think it was instant, but I was thinking just around the next guy, I'm half expecting to see him just like, and they're like, he's just gone.
Yeah, no, it managed to get out of that without puncturing the tyre. That was really interesting. I don't agree with necessarily how much Max was defending, late defending. I like defending in F1 because they got such good slipstream. They got DRS that helps them and stuff like that.
He was very late. He was like waiting for...
As soon as Raikkonen would start to move, that's when he would move. And that's fine to a certain extent. But sometimes Max was putting Raikkonen in the position of, you can run into me or you can pull out. I think sometimes he got that... Well, obviously in one of those, he made that so hard for Raikkonen that he couldn't actually pull out. So he hit him. Yeah.
But then... Isn't this just the making of a champion? Like, you look at Hamilton, he does the same thing.
Oh, they play for keeps, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, these guys have maybe Max...
They don't make friends this way, but...
The race was a bit...
It was eventful at the start.
It was. And then it was controlled. And that's the best way to describe this race. It was a very controlled race, and no one... Like, no safety car. There was no virtual safety car. No one came off. There was only that one retirement of Button.
It was super controlled. Ricciardo tried to force both the Mercedes into an early pit stop, and
that didn't work.
It out, and then that
just sort of hurt.
Like, nah, we're fast enough. We don't have to worry about the undercut. And that hurt Ricciardo's tyres.
It did.
Because he pushed for a few laps and then realised.
But then he still managed to hold. I mean, Vettel got pretty close. Vettel cut down like the gap. It was like 1 second or 1.3 seconds or something.
Yep.
The gap. And that was pretty good. It was really good to see both, like, Ricciardo fighting with Vettel, who everyone says that's his rivals, which I don't know why. I mean, they were teammates, but they actually got on really well. I thought Vettel and Ricciardo got on well better than I've seen Vettel get on with anyone else.
Well, he gets along really well with Raikkonen.
Yeah, but I mean, like, at that stage, everyone's like, he's going to be fighting with that, because he fought with Webber, but that's because at that stage, none of them had won a championship. Like, Webber and Vettel, pretty much, they got both... were in their prime, ready to win, and unfortunately, Vettel ended up winning.
Yeah,
and then that just caused a bad vibe between the teams, and then it's well documented. Everyone knows what happened.
Yeah, agreed.
The big thing to take away from it is now Hamilton has the championship lead by 6 points.
Yeah, what a big turnaround from the weekend, really, isn't it? That's probably the major thing to take away from it. Mm-hmm. I would say Ricciardo looks like he's back on form.
Ricciardo's moved up to third now.
Yeah, and Hamilton's back in the lead of the championship. It's a quick turnaround now as well for the next meeting. The teams will be really pushing to get these cars around again.
The German Grand Prix at the Hockenheim Ring, which should be good. Quite like the Hockenheim Ring. It's got a nice little stadium section, and then it sort of goes off, does a bit, and comes back.
Yeah, the Hockenheim's always a good event.
I'm going to tip Rosberg. I think he needs to win. That's why. And he won last year.
How long since Hamilton put the engine in that he's running at the moment?
I don't know, man.
I need to look up that stat again. It'd be interesting to see how much longer he can make this engine last. Because he's been a long time on the internal combustion engine now.
Yeah. We've got the German Grand Prix coming up. And then we've got a long break. And what is next? Spa. You reckon you want a new motor for Spa? Or you don't want to be starting at the back? What's a nice track I guess you can't really be like, oh, you could if you budget if you look after your engine enough, you could go, all right, we're going to take it at this track. But what track would suit them best for passing? Because you're coming up into, a lot of the races where you're not, like you got Singapore still to come. You're not going to say Mercedes are going to do lots of passing.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want a new engine in Singapore.
Maybe you could do it at Monza in Italy after Spa.
Yep, use that.
He could probably start at the back and work his way up.
The other car that might be hard to get around at Monza would be the
Rosberg's.
I was going to talk about that's one that's going to be a little bit off pace. I would say then it might bring him a little bit in front of the Force Indias, but it will be the Williams.
The Williams will be stronger at this.
Yeah, they're always a very slippery car.
Yes, no downforce.
Yeah, and that might, if he starts rear of grid, he might hit a bit of a wall there and be a bit harder to get around.
Just having a look at the round, you got Malaysia straight up after Singapore, which is normally not that late. It's normally at the start of the year. It's normally after.
Yeah, isn't Malaysia normally the second round of the year?
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to see.
I want to go to that one.
Oh well, just book your tickets now.
Well, it's cheap.
I'm sure it's cheap. How cheap? Cheap suit?
No, like it's like real cheap. Hang on, we'll pause. We'll be back. We've got to do some research. So we've just quickly brought up bookf1.com, which we just quickly had a look to see about the Malaysian Grand Prix, because I have actually once jokingly said to my old man, I'm like, let's go to the Malaysian Grand Prix. We're in Darwin, so we're not that far away from Malaysia, and Malaysia Airlines are always doing deals out of here. It's only a 3.5 hour flight, maybe 4 hours. Jump on a plane, leave Thursday afternoon.
Yeah,
and we're having a look. Okay, so what we can see, the top ticket on this package is the Emerald VIP package, Friday to Sunday, for an adult, $829.
That's unbelievably
That's cheap.
Yeah.
Because you've been to the Singapore Grand Prix before, and yours was not VIP package.
No.
And yours was a lot more than $829.
Yeah, my wife and we sat in the grandstand at the end of the main straight, and that was like $1,100 each.
If you just want a 3-day ticket, like this is a standing ticket, so it's on the hill, you still get shade, you still get a TV viewing screen for an adult, $69. Now that is cheaper than a V8 Supercar Hot Pass at Hidden Valley.
Yeah, I think that's got to be one of the cheapest big motorsporting events that you'll ever get to go to. I wonder if you can even see the track from that hill. We'll let you stand in the car park. You can listen to the noise. We'll charge you $70.
From what I understand is the Malaysian Grand Prix is one of the most affordable ones to go to, and the government wants to make it affordable. Like they want to have visitors going to it, and I think it's good that it's this time of year. I mean, it's going to be end of year. It might rain. I mean, it's always bloody wet over there, but if you get a dry race, it's good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't realize it'd be that cheap.
Yeah, that's our tip for the week. Go to the Malaysian Grand Prix if you can, and if you do, send us photos.
Yeah, write in and let us know what it was like. And that's it for this week on Breaking Late. Remember to hit us up on Facebook at Breaking Late.
We've got an email address, breakinglate@gmail.com. If you can please leave a review from iTunes or any of the podcasting services, that will really help us out. That's our show for this week. Done and dusted.
Looking forward to the Germany F1 this weekend, and we'll be talking again Monday.
Yes. So we'll catch you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.